Don't trust the woman who first approaches you and asks you out. When she approaches you first, your ego feels good. But what looks like interest is often a trap. The woman making the first move might be the biggest red flag you're missing. Most men fall for it every time. But after today, you won't be one of them. Today, I'm going to reveal the 3 psychological tactics women use when they approach first, and the Stoic mindset that protects you from manipulation. You'll learn exactly what to say when she makes the first move, how to test for genuine interest, and why the strongest men maintain their value no matter how beautiful she is. By the end, you'll understand why true power comes from walking away, not from taking the bait. Welcome back to Strong Male Figure. Today we're talking about something many of you have experienced. That moment when a beautiful woman approaches you first. It feels good, right? Like you've been chosen, selected. But the Stoic philosophers understood something profound about human nature that applies perfectly to this situation. The Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The object in life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane." Pretty harsh words from a man who ruled the known world, but he understood that following what feels good often leads to destruction. Let me tell you a quick story. When the philosopher Seneca was advisor to Emperor Nero, he was offered tremendous wealth, influence, and privileges. At first, these offers seemed like good fortune, but Seneca recognized they were golden handcuffs, traps disguised as gifts. He eventually tried to return all his wealth to Nero and retire to a life of simplicity. Nero's response? He ordered Seneca to commit suicide. Now, I'm not saying a woman approaching you will end that dramatically, but the principle remains. What appears to be a gift often comes with hidden costs. Let's break down the 3 psychological tactics commonly used when a woman approaches first. The Stoics were master psychologists who understood human behavior at its core. The first tactic is what I call the ego stroke. This is when she immediately compliments something specific about you, your style, your energy, something that makes you feel uniquely seen and appreciated. It feels genuine because it's specific. But here's what's really happening. She's creating an immediate emotional debt. Epictetus, who began his life as a slave, warned, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." When your ego gets stroked, your capacity to learn, to see clearly, diminishes. The second tactic is false scarcity. She mentions she doesn't usually do this, that she's normally shy, or that she never approaches men. This makes you feel specially selected, like you've won something rare. But the Stoic philosopher Zeno would recognize this as manipulation through perceived value. As he taught his students, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so we should listen more than we say. Pay attention to patterns, not promises." The third and most effective tactic is immediate intimacy. This isn't just physical, it's emotional. She shares something vulnerable quickly, creating false closeness. She touches your arm while talking, stands closer than acquaintances normally would, or maintains intense eye contact. These create neurochemical responses, dopamine and oxytocin, that form attachment before discernment can work. As Marcus Aurelius cautioned, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. When those thoughts are clouded by neurochemical responses, your judgment follows suit. Now, I'm not saying genuine attraction doesn't exist, but the Stoics taught us to see reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. And the reality is most approaches are strategic, not spontaneous. So what exactly should you say when she makes the first move? The Stoics give us a perfect framework with 3 principles: maintain dignity, seek truth, and test character. When she approaches, first practice what the Stoics called the pause. This is a moment of inner stillness before responding. It might be just 3 seconds, but those 3 seconds allow you to gather yourself rather than react from flattery. Then respond with calm appreciation, not desperate gratitude. You might say, "I appreciate the direct approach." Not many people have that confidence. This acknowledges her action without putting her on a pedestal. Next comes the character test. The Stoics were masters at testing character through small challenges. Epictetus taught, "Circumstances don't make the man, they only reveal him to himself." Similarly, your response can reveal her true intentions. Try this. After brief conversation, say something like, "I'm about to meet some friends, but I'd like to continue this conversation." What's your number? If she's approaching with genuine interest, a small hurdle won't deter her. If she's just seeking validation or has other motives, she'll often find a reason why that won't work. Another test comes from Musonius Rufus, who taught that virtuous people are consistent across contexts. Suggest meeting for something simple first, coffee during daylight hours, for instance, rather than drinks at night. The manipulator often wants immediate access to your resources or time on her terms. Remember what Cato the Younger demonstrated throughout his life. It's better to maintain principles than to compromise for a momentary advantage. As he said, "I begin to speak only when I'm convinced that silence would be wrong." If she's genuinely interested, these small tests won't be obstacles if she's not. You've saved yourself time, energy, and possibly much worse. Now let's talk about developing the Stoic mindset that makes you immune to manipulation. The core of Stoicism is understanding what you can and cannot control. As Epictetus taught, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. You cannot control who approaches you or their motives, but you can control your response, your boundaries, and most importantly, your source of validation. The first principle is self-sufficiency, what the Stoics called autarkia. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his private journals, "Be content with what you are and wish not change, nor dread your last day, nor long for it." When your sense of worth comes from within, external validation becomes less tempting. How do you develop this? By building a life of purpose and excellence. When you're focused on meaningful work, continuous improvement, and contribution to others, you naturally become less susceptible to flattery. The second principle is emotional discipline, what they called apatheia. This doesn't mean being emotionless, but rather not being controlled by emotions. Seneca advised, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay." Similarly, the greatest remedy for flattery is pause and perspective. The third principle is perhaps most important, remembering your mortality. The Stoics practiced memento mori, remembering that you will die. This isn't morbid, it's clarifying. It helps you ask, is this worth my limited time? Does this align with my purpose? When a woman approaches you, ask yourself, is her interest aligned with my path of growth and excellence? Or is it a distraction that appeals to my vanity? As Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Be willing to walk away from attention that doesn't serve your highest good, even if it means momentarily looking like you're missing an opportunity. The true measure of a man's strength isn't in how many women approach him. It's in his ability to walk away from what doesn't serve his highest good. The Stoics understood something profound about human relationships. We value what we earn more than what comes easily. Seneca wrote, "What is obtained by chance is easily lost. What is acquired by toil, we more carefully protect. When you easily accept the approach of someone you know nothing about, simply because it flatters your ego, you communicate low standards. And as Marcus Aurelius observed, a man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. Your standards reflect your self-worth. Here's a practical framework for maintaining your value, inspired by Stoic principles. First, never abandon your existing plans when someone new approaches. The manipulator wants you to rearrange your life at the first sign of interest. The Stoic man maintains his course. Second, match investment levels. If she texts once, you text once. If she makes an effort, you reciprocate equally, not more. This isn't a game, it's a recognition of natural balance. Third, maintain your boundaries consistently. Epictetus taught his students, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Sometimes protecting your boundaries means being willing to be misunderstood. And fourth, most importantly, be willing to walk away at the first sign of disrespect or manipulation. Not angrily, not dramatically, but simply and finally. As Seneca said, he who has learned how to die has unlearned how to be a slave. Similarly, he who has learned to walk away has unlearned how to be manipulated. There's a paradox the Stoics understood well. True respect often comes not from what you pursue, but from what you're willing to lose. Cato the Younger, perhaps the most respected man in ancient Rome, gained his reputation not by seeking power, but by refusing to compromise his principles, even when offered everything he could want. Similarly, your willingness to walk away from manipulation communicates unshakable self-respect. When you walk away from someone who's shown red flags, three important things happen. First, you reinforce to yourself that you have standards that matter more than momentary pleasure. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. When you act with self-respect, you think with self-respect. Second, you communicate clearly to others that you can't be manipulated through basic tactics. This actually increases genuine respect, even from the person you're walking away from. Third, you create space for authentic connections with those who approach with integrity. The Stoics believed in natural law that like attracts like. When you operate with high standards, you naturally filter out low-quality interactions. Remember what Epictetus taught. Freedom is not achieved by satisfying desire, but by eliminating it. Your freedom from manipulation comes not from getting the attention you crave, but from being selective about the attention you accept. We've covered the three tactics women use when approaching first: what to say when it happens, how to develop the Stoic mindset that protects you, and why walking away is often the strongest move you can make. The Stoics practiced what they called the view from above, seeing your life from a higher perspective. When someone approaches you, take that higher view. Ask yourself, in 5 years, will this interaction matter? Is this aligned with the man I'm becoming? If this message resonated with you, I want you to do 3 things. First, the next time someone approaches you, practice the pause. Just take 5 seconds before responding. Those 5 seconds can save you months of manipulation. Second, identify one relationship in your life right now where you might be overvaluing someone simply because they showed initial interest in you. Ask yourself honestly, is this connection based on genuine alignment or just on flattery? Third, share this video with one man who needs this message. We're building stronger men, one conversation at a time. If you're new here, join our community of men committed to Stoic strength and dignity. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out our playlist on maintaining personal sovereignty in all relationships. Remember, as Seneca wrote, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." Your greatest strength isn't in being chosen, it's in being the one who chooses wisely. Until next time, stand tall, think clearly, and protect your dignity.